This training session will cover notes and documents in TherapyNotes. Before you begin writing notes in TherapyNotes, it's helpful to be familiar with the workflow that takes place. To write a note for an appointment in TherapyNotes, you will need to have entered a patient with an appointment scheduled on the calendar that is no more than 24 hours in the future. This is to prevent data entry errors while writing notes and ultimately billing for the claim. Some notes in TherapyNotes have additional qualifications, such as having a specific clinician type or having certain notes previously written, but we will cover that later. For now, we will start with configuring your default note settings. You can find these settings by going to the user options on the bottom left-hand of your screen and selecting Settings, and scrolling down until you find the Notes Settings section. The first setting we are going to edit is Diagnosis Codes. By default, TherapyNotes includes DSM-5 diagnosis codes, but you can add additional diagnosis codes by filling in the diagnosis code, adding a description, followed by clicking Add Custom Code. You can see the code you just added below. You may now use this code in any clinical notes you write. When you're finished, be sure to click Save Settings. You can also mark codes as non-billable to the payers you work with. To do so, click the Non-Billable ICD-10-CM Codes tab at the top of this screen. To set all ICD-10 codes that have a description that contains the word unspecified as a non-billable code, select the checkbox option labeled as such. To designate a specific ICD-10 code as non-billable, search the existing code either by the code itself or by the description, and then select the code from the list. If you wish to delete either a custom code or a non-billable code, click the X to the right. Then click Save Settings. Going back to the Settings page, we are going to edit your interventions list under the Notes Settings section. Editing your interventions list is important for writing notes because it allows you to quickly notate the interventions you use, while also removing the ones you don't. To add an intervention, click Add New Intervention in the upper right corner. Complete the necessary fields and select Save Intervention if you're finished, or save and add another if you're adding more than one. Back on the Interventions page, you can remove any you don't need by clicking the intervention's name and Delete in the bottom right corner. Once you've added an intervention, it will appear as a checkbox within your progress notes. Keep in mind that this list applies only to you. Adding an intervention will not provide it to other users, nor will removing an intervention prevent other staff members from using it. Finally, the last setting we are going to edit is the Note Settings. Within the Note Header Settings section, check off the items you would like to appear on notes, as well as where you want the note header printed. While we recommend leaving the risk assessment as a required section, admins can choose to make it optional or required within the pre-built note templates. For custom note templates, this setting does not apply and instead is controlled within each template's individual settings. We strongly recommend requiring treatment plans for compliance and audit purposes. However, some practices may choose to make them optional. Administrators can also set how long a treatment plan remains valid before a new one must be completed, helping ensure plans are reviewed and kept up to date. This setting works together with the treatment plan reminder on the to-do list, which controls when reminders appear. You can also designate a user to function as the practice's clinical director. They will be required to co-sign all treatment plans. Once completed, click Save Settings. Now that the settings have been adjusted, we can begin the process of writing notes. Write a note. The first note we're going to write is an intake note. As you can see on the scheduling page, we already have the appointment on the calendar. We can also see that we are the assigned clinician. This is very important because if you are not the assigned clinician on the appointment, you cannot write the corresponding note. The exception to this is if you have the role of clinical administrator. In that case, writing the note will override the appointment and set you as the clinician for the appointment. Now, we are going to explore a few ways you can get to the note template. Since we're already on the scheduling page, click on the corresponding appointment. This will open a dialog box with several tabs across the top. Select the Notes tab, then create an intake note. You can also get to your note template by going to your to-do list from the sidebar navigation menu, and then selecting the Notes tab at the top. Look for the line item with the corresponding date of service and patient name, Then click Create an Intake Note and begin writing your note. Another way to write a note for a patient is by going to Patients, selecting the patient name, and then the Documents tab. From here, click Create Note and select the type of note you'd like to write. In this case, we will select Intake Note. Next, click Create an Intake Note for the appointment with the corresponding date and time that you want to write a note for. Before we continue with this training session, we'd like to remind you that if you have any questions, you can find additional resources by going to the User Options and clicking Help. This will bring you to our Help Center, which contains numerous articles and videos explaining how to use TherapyNotes. If you prefer one-on-one assistance, you can call our support line or send us an email. As always, our support is unlimited and there is no additional cost. Now that you've learned how to bring up the note template, you can begin writing the note. As you can see, the note template includes multiple drop-down menus and checkboxes, making filling out your notes quick and easy. If you need to leave your desk before finishing your note, you can save it for later by leaving the box next to Sign this form unchecked, then clicking Save Draft. To run a spell check through your note, click the ABC button at the bottom of the note. Once you have completed the note, simply check the box next to Sign this form and click Create Note. Creating notes in TherapyNotes is straightforward if you have an appointment already made. However, it's also easy to write notes for unscheduled appointments. To do so, go to a patient's Documents tab and click Create Note. Then select the type of note you'd like to make. In this example, let's select a consultation note. Since you don't have a consultation scheduled for this patient, click Create Note for an unscheduled appointment, then fill in the remaining details for the appointment. Once the details have been filled in, click Save New Appointment. You may notice that this note template is very different from the intake note we saw earlier. This is because the note templates in TherapyNotes are tied to the appointment type when the appointment is made. If you go back to the Patient's Documents tab and click Create Note, you can see the other note types you can generate in TherapyNotes. The only note types you won't see here are the psychiatry note options. This is because the user account for this demonstration is set up as a psychologist. If a user's clinician type is one of the medication management options, you'll see the psychiatry note templates. TherapyFuel. Now let's look how information carries from one note into another using a treatment plan and 2 progress notes. If you look under Demo Patient's to-do list, you will see that this patient has 2 therapy sessions that require a progress note. As mentioned earlier in this tutorial, treatment plans can be optional or required. In our demonstration, they are required. Users who have TherapyFuel enabled will be able to generate treatment plans with the click of a button thanks to our AI tool suite. When creating an initial treatment plan, you'll notice a banner with a Use TherapyFuel toggle at the top of the first goal section. When enabled, TherapyFuel will generate the goal, objectives, and interventions within your plan based on the provided treatment approach and treatment targets. To begin, first select a treatment approach, or enter manually if yours is not included in the given list. In the Treatment Targets field, enter specific targets for the treatment, including details such as relevant symptoms, life domains, and functional concerns. Before generating, ensure that the diagnosis code and presenting problem are provided, and then simply click the Generate Goal button to produce the goal with related objectives and interventions. The number of objectives per goal and interventions per objective can be updated via your staff profile on the TherapyFuel tab. Once the treatment goal has been generated, you will need to review and customize it if necessary. Content generated by TherapyFuel will be highlighted in purple along with a generated tag. Hovering over the Generated View Original Prompt text allows you to review the original input that guided the generated content. To edit a particular field, click inside it and make any updates or adjustments needed. The goals, objectives, and interventions can be rearranged using the arrow icons on the right side of the screen. To add another goal, click the Add New Goal button and follow the previous steps to generate with TherapyFuel. When you're finished reviewing the TherapyFuel generated portion, be sure to complete the discharge criteria planning and additional information if necessary, fill out the prescribed frequency of treatment, and then sign the note or save it as a draft. If you're not using TherapyFuel, ensure you fill out all fields manually. When creating a follow-up treatment plan, goals, objectives, and interventions from the previous plan will be carried over. To proceed, click the Documents tab, then Create Note, and choose Progress Note from the drop-down. Then click Create a Progress Note for the corresponding date of service you want to write a note for. Since the treatment plan was completed, you'll see that the diagnosis code and objectives are in the progress note. Users who have our TherapyFuel enabled can utilize the tool to make their documentation a breeze. To generate a progress note from a summary, toggle on the Use TherapyFuel button at the top of your note. Enter your treatment approach and a brief session summary, then click Generate Note at the bottom of your screen. TherapyFuel will fill in the SOAP fields for you so that you can review, edit, and finalize with your signature. If you have TherapyFuel Scribe enabled, TherapyNotes can automatically transcribe your session, whether it's through telehealth or in person, so you can focus on your client instead of taking notes. During a telehealth session, click Start Scribe at the top of your screen once both you and your client have joined. For in-person sessions, open the Appointment dialog box and select Start TherapyFuel Scribe to begin recording. After your session, simply open the associated progress note. Once the transcript is ready, Scribe uses it to generate the SOAP fields for you. Review the draft, make any edits, and sign when you're finished. For security, transcripts are automatically deleted once the note is signed or after 30 days. View and edit existing notes. Going back to the Patient's Documents tab, you can see a full list of all the notes that have been written for this patient. If a note is unsigned, it will be highlighted in yellow. You can access any notes by clicking on the name of the note or using the action icons to the right. Click the pencil icon to edit the note or the cloud icon to download the note as a PDF. To download multiple notes at once in a single PDF, click the Download Multiple button under the list of notes and files. Use the checkboxes on the left to select which notes you want to include and download them by clicking Download Selected Documents. When viewing an existing note, you may scroll to the bottom of the page for additional options. These include the ability to edit, download, or print the note, as well as access the revision history. Revision history shows what changes have been made to the note since it was first saved. This is useful for logging addendums to notes while maintaining the original date of documentation in the event of an audit. If you are a clinical administrator, you may delete the note by clicking Delete Note, then clicking the Delete button to confirm your choice. Library Forms. That covers the basics of TherapyNotes templates, but that doesn't cover everything regarding documents. TherapyNotes offers a robust library that contains practice files, forms, templates, and more. Let's click the Library tab to begin. The Library Files tab holds uploaded files for the practice. To add a practice file, click Upload File and choose the file. Add the document name, description, and date. Choose whether the document is not shareable to patients on the client portal, always available on the portal, or shareable on demand. When the file is always available or shareable, you must also select the patient's response to sharing, e-sign, upload, upload and e-sign, or review only, and the staff access, administrative, billing, or clinical. Once you've made your selections, click Add Document. To edit an existing file, click the file name, then the Edit pencil. Once you've made your updates, click Save Changes. The file can be downloaded and shared when enabled from the Share on Portal button within the file or by using the respective icons next to the file in the list. You can also follow these same steps just from the Patient's Documents tab if you wish to upload a document directly to the patient's chart. Moving further into the library, the Portal Forms tab includes a list of our pre-built forms for sharing the client portal. To begin utilizing them, click the portal form you'd like to use, then click Edit. Some forms, such as the Client History form, can be adjusted to your preferences. Other forms, like the Notice of Privacy Practices, must be edited before sharing to meet your practice's regulations. To activate the form, choose Shareable on Demand or Always Available on the portal. When the form settings and contents are complete, click Save Changes. To build a custom form, click Create Form, then choose the title, description, sharing settings, and staff access. Click anywhere under the new form header to access the Add Element toolbar, then click the plus sign to view elements including read-only text, long and short text responses, choice selection, dividers, and signature fields. Elements can be moved and deleted with the arrow and X icons respectively, or dragged into the correct position using the handle on the left of the element. Once you're satisfied with the contents, click Save Form to add it to the library. Custom Note Templates. The next library section is the Note Templates tab, which allows you to view, edit, and create progress and consultation note templates with other note types to come. The base TherapyNotes Progress Note, Burp Progress Note, DAP Progress Note, and SOAP Progress Note are available and ready to use as is, or to serve as a base for a new custom template. To enable a note template type, click the template name or the pencil to the right, then Edit. Update the note display and description as desired, then set the status to Active before saving changes. To create a new template, click Create Template in the upper right corner of the Note Templates tab. Select the note type. At this time, we only have customizable templates for progress and consultation notes, but other note types will be available in the future. Next, select the progress note type to use as the base, then enter a template name and note display title, as well as an optional description. To customize the contents of the note template, hover over any of the existing elements and click the plus to access the Add Elements menu. Select as many elements as you'd like to include in your note. From short and long responses to outcome measure history and more, elements can be moved with the up and down arrows. Removable elements, which do not include diagnosis, treatment plan progress, recommendation, and signature fields, can be deleted with the X. Custom elements can be marked as required for clinicians to complete, or left as not required for the clinician to complete as necessary. Once your template is complete, click Save and set active. When creating a new progress note for a session, choose your desired template from the drop-down in the top right. If you are enrolled in TherapyFuel, the TherapyFuel toggle banner will appear for you to use, even in custom templates. Complete the note as normal, then sign and save to finalize. Outcome Measures. Now, the final library tab, Outcome Measures, holds an always growing selection of questionnaires to share with patients. Outcome measures can be filtered by category, intended age, and the sharing setting. Click into a specific outcome measure to edit the sharing settings. The Sample Assessment tab shows a preview of the patient experience, while the Sample Results shows an example of the clinician's view of the outcome measure results after completion. Share outcome measures using the arrow icon or Share on Portal button within the specific outcome measure. They can be reviewed from the Patient's Documents tab. Sharing documents. Another way to share documents on the portal is to click Patients, select a patient's name, and then go to the Patient's Portal tab. Then click Share Documents and add the documents you'd like to share by typing the name of the document or uploading the document if it hasn't been uploaded yet. Once your documents are selected, add instructions, then click Send Document Request. The request you just made is now visible, and you can view the status of each document in a request under the Status section. You can edit a request you've made by clicking the Date Sent link, then typing in new instructions, or using the X buttons to remove the items that shouldn't be in the request. Once you've made your changes, click Update Document Requests. You can also cancel the document requests altogether by clicking Cancel Document Request and then Cancel Request. If a patient has completed any documents within a request already, you won't be able to cancel the request. The only clinical note you can send to a patient through TherapyNotes is the treatment plan. To send a patient a copy of their treatment plan, go to the Patient's Documents tab and then click on the treatment plan. At the bottom of the treatment plan note, you'll see the Share on Portal button. Pressing this button will send the treatment plan with a signature request to the client. You can also add special instructions, then click Send Document Request. You can check the status of document requests from the Client's Portal tab in their chart, or by going to the library and clicking on the Document Request link at the bottom right of the list of documents. This option will show you which documents need processing or are still waiting for a patient response for either your assigned patients or all patients depending on your user roles. That concludes our Notes and Documents training session. If you need additional support, check out our Help Center to access our library of articles and videos. If you prefer one-on-one assistance, our support team is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. To try TherapyNotes for yourself, visit therapynotes.com and sign up for a free 30-day trial. Thanks for watching!